This is Steve Shuck from Welcome Stadium, and we welcome you to Welcome Stadium for the Middletown Middies versus the Princeton Vikings. It's Ohio High School football playoff time. Tonight's contest is for the Region 4 championship in Division 1, the Middies versus the Vikings. Two teams from the same conference battle for the right to advance to Ohio's Final Four. Middletown enters this contest after a week of turmoil resulting from allegations of ineligible players participating. School officials confirmed that an ineligible player did appear briefly in a game in August. Head coach Jim Place has turned over the reins, at least for the remainder of the playoffs, to his staff, headed by Coach Bob Thompson. The situation has attracted attention throughout the media. Talk shows, newspapers, columnists, and news commentators have all addressed the issue. But the real issue will be decided in the next 2 hours on the artificial turf below. These two teams met in September with the Middies scoring in the final minute to win 10-7. Statistically, the game was all Middletown, but the Princeton defense came up with several big plays to shut down Middie threats. That same defense needs another big game tonight. Middletown has an outstanding defense of their own. The most points they have given up in a single game this season is 17. That came last week when they beat Moeller 21-17. Princeton put 62 on the scoreboard right here 1 week ago. The Viking staff will be happy with a lot less tonight. Joining me for the first time this year, and we haven't been with you a whole lot this year, we anticipated seeing this young man a lot earlier, is a fellow that participates in another Princeton sport. You don't play it at night, and you don't play it where it's very cold. But what you don't want to do is play with him, because he can play. And then we're talking about the game of golf, and we're talking about Princeton's outstanding golfer, Jason Dingman. Jason, welcome to the broadcast finally.
It's great to be here. Really looking forward to doing this.
Well, you join us at an exciting time, Jason. You know, we haven't been through a season together. We've been down with equipment and weather problems and all that. A lot of folks have said, where are you guys? You know, I like to watch the game again. So we just got back in time for what promises to be a real outstanding ball game.
That's right. This could be It's going to be the last game for one of these two teams tonight. Hopefully it won't be for our Princeton Vikings.
Well, somebody, as you say, is going to go home and put the gear away. And, of course, we hope it's not ours. But with all the situation that's been going on this week, it's really a very difficult situation to read, I believe. You don't know where the emotion is with this Middletown team. These kids have been under a whole lot of pressure all week. The bottom line is, I think once the ball is in the air and the first bit of hitting goes on, they're going to forget all of those kind of things. And they're going to play football just like they have for, 11 games already this year. And then it becomes the contest between those white lines out there. And let's hope that is what it becomes and that nothing becomes tainted no matter what it is. Well, the Middies have won the toss, I assume, or won it.
Yeah, they did win the toss.
And they will receive. They'll run left to right as you see your picture, and that means Jeff Blaylock will have a nice breeze behind him as the breeze is coming out of the southwest here a little bit. And that is to your right, the west end of Welcome Stadium. So we're ready to let it go, Jason. Boy, they're right on time, and as cold as it is, that's all right with us. Here we go. The line drive, and it goes off of the hands of Daryl Montai and goes out the back of the end zone for a touchback. So the Middies will start from their own 20.
Seems like Jeff has come out and kicking the ball well as he did last week. He put several kicks into the end zone on that same end, and he comes out and does the same thing here.
Well, field position and with a couple of defensive teams, if they play like they played early in the year, could have a lot to do with this. So taking advantage of the wind when you have it, and of course the Vikings do have it in the first quarter, is important. Now we're looking for a football, it looks like. You know, in Ohio football, during the course of the year, you can use your own ball, Jason, but in the playoffs, there's an adopted ball, a particular brand ball, and it has to be used. So each team was given a couple of those balls to practice with. Well, we're ready to go. We've got C.C. Kindred at quarterback, I assume. No, that's a different number. So we'll check that out for you in just a minute, but the dive play goes to the left, and the ball is fumbled, and it looks like Princeton might have it. Right off the bat, That's Chris Daniels, the quarterback, and we need to check that out. And there may be some reason we don't know about, Jason, that he's out there. But number 12, Chris Daniels. There is a flag on the field, so let's hold the phone just a minute.
That's really surprising they came out with a different quarterback here. Everyone was expecting to see C.C. Kindred out there.
Well, you don't know why, and we're not going to question.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Middletown.
So 2 big breaks right off the bat here, and I assume the Vikings will keep the football. We know that it was fumbled. We didn't get the person that recovered the ball. But the Vikings will maintain possession, and we'll have it 1st and 10 at the Middletown 12-yard line.
That's a big break here for the Vikings. They need to get out to a good start here because in the last game, they were slow getting off the blocks.
Okay, we've got Houston with 2 wide men to the left, 2 setbacks behind him, and he keeps it, cuts it in. 5 going in for the touchdown, and we are just 25 seconds underway, and the Princeton Vikings with a monumental break, Jason, to start this ball game.
It's a great way for the Vikings to get started here. That was a great run by Lamont.
Well, you know, in the first game up there, we did an awful lot of dive plays right in with Gatewood running behind the strong side of our offensive line, and they snuffed it up pretty good. This time he had the fake, cut in behind him, cut it back up the middle, and pretty much went in untouched for 12 yards. Okay, Blaylock will attempt to add the point after. And here's a flag.
It's one thing the Vikings have to eliminate this time. There's a lot of penalties. In the first meeting, they were penalized several times.
Well, and Middletown was also, Jason. In fact, a couple of times they self-destructed with a couple of 15-yard penalties in the same drive when they were driving the ball down the field. Of course, they did get the big score at the end. Well, it's a half the distance to the goal. It's an encroachment call, which means a defensive player stepped into the neutral zone before the snap. Blaylock, once again, a yard and a half closer.
Really doesn't make a whole lot of difference.
Backup quarterback Chuck Buchanan's the holder. And there's another flag. My goodness gracious. What a start for teams in the final 8 in Ohio. It's just one little thing after another here. Now this time they're going to back the Vikings up, so there must have been a little movement there.
Several penalties already here in this game.
We've had a kickoff, 1 offensive play by each team, an attempt at an extra point. We've had 3 penalties.
Not good at all.
Not a very good start. Maybe the tension around this game, all the situations are creating some things that might normally not be there. Okay, Buchanan will put it down. He takes the snap a little high. Blaylock's got plenty of leg, and it appears to be good, and it is good. So with 11:35 remaining in the first quarter, the score of the Princeton Vikings 7 and the Middletown Middies 0. Well, Jason, think a little bit. You're a high school kid. Not a kid. I don't mean it as it sounds. But think about that. If you're in the situation the Middies have been in all week, what kind of effect does this real quick thing have on you? Is it good? Is it negative? Will it get your attention? What will it do?
In a way, I think it'd be negative on me because, you know, people are accusing you of cheating, and, you know, anyone that plays sports knows that you don't want to be accused of cheating. You want to play fair and win fair. And I think the kids feel like they've had a little bit taken away from them. I mean, they did beat Moeller last week, and they beat them without any ineligible players. So I think they have the right to be here. And I think their coach did a good move by stepping down for the game because it was his fault, and his players were not the guilty party.
Okay, well, they're going to get another shot, and they're 3 deep men. In the middle is Monti, their speedster, who's returned some kickoffs for big yardage. One, I think, for 1 or 2 maybe in the year for a touchdown. There's another line driver that's going to take a bounce, and he's just at about the 1 or 2. Comes up the left side. He's got some room. He's got big time room. He's over midfield and goes down into Princeton territory, and then a flag goes down at about midfield. Jason, he was very close to having a foot in the end zone. You know, in high school football, if you're back up into that end zone and the ball the ball or yourself in there, then you cannot run it out. But you see what kind of player this young man is. He has great speed, and he gets into a seam, and watch out, he can break one real quick. And that flag is a face mask. So the Vikings, who get this nice break, appear to be giving it right back.
Yeah, and there's another penalty on the Vikings. I do believe that was Shondell Wolfwork on the tackle there.
So the Middies, who could have been maybe deflated a little with the first situation, get right back in this thing, and they'll start from the Princeton 33-yard line. We'll try this time to pick up the personnel in there, and it is Chris Daniels at quarterback. It appears to be Smiley and Monti in the backfield behind him. Daniels will take the snap and slide right. He'll keep it, and he's hit immediately by who is that?
I believe that was Sam Young.
Sam Young.
And there goes another penalty flag.
My goodness gracious. Wonder what this one's going to be now.
I think the tension's high in this game, and I think we might have an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty again.
On the defense, the play itself went to the 27-yard line for 6 yards, and this is going to add a half the distance to the goal, and it's going to take the ball down to about between the 13 and 14-yard line.
Well, so far it looks like each team doesn't want to make the offense work too hard for its points.
Oh, they'll start 1st and 10 in the same kind of position that the Vikings got the ball in. Of course, they've run one kickoff back in one play, but we're 10:56 still in the first quarter, and all kinds of action in this one.
And I think everyone is expecting a low-scoring game here, too.
Well, it's not starting that way, Jason, is it? Here's Daniels. He
Another fumble.
He picks it up this time and actually gets a yard or two.
Possibly 2 yards.
It looks like that the quarterback and the center are having a little trouble here on their exchange.
Well, we're not going to speculate why Kindred's not out there. The ball is on about the 11-yard line. So that's about a 2.5, 3-yard gain, and they're going to call it 2nd and 8 on the board. We'll stick with that and say it is 2nd and 8. Vikings trying to put a clamp on this Middie offense with big back Smiley and the speedster Monti in the backfield. He'll give it to Smiley. He cuts to the outside, has big yardage over the 10, over the 5, and he goes down at about, looks like about the 3-yard line.
Possibly the 2-yard line.
Vikings are having a little trouble here on defense early, even though the penalties aren't helping a bit with the field position.
First down.
It came right in behind Monti, leading the way that time. So it is 1st and goal at the Viking 3. The Middies trying to tie it up real quick here. Daniels once again with Smiley and Monti. He'll give it to Smiley, and he's shut down pretty quickly. He may have gotten one. Well, did he bounce off? Did the ball get away? Well, I thought he was down. I guess he either wiggled in or the ball. Did the ball come loose, Jason?
The way the guys were going for it down there, it looked like a fumble, and it looked like it was recovered by a Middletown Middie.
Okay, we listened to the PA man, or thought we could, and try to figure out what was going on with this situation.
It's been a strange game.
Well, a strange 2.5 minutes, you know, and realize that we have a whole lot of 45.5 minutes to go. All right, their Middletown kicker is Brian Caldwell, who will attempt to tie it up. There's the ball up, and the kick is ball down. The kick is up, and the kick is good. And with 9:38 still in quarter number 1, we already have 14 points on the board, 7 for each side.
Well, the Vikings didn't help themselves at all there with numerous penalties, and most of them were for 15 yards, and that's not going to help them at all tonight.
Well, Jason, you know, you look up and you say, well, they got this wonderful break right off the top, and they converted into 7 points, only having to go 12 yards. Then they give up first the long touchdown, or I'm sorry, the long kickoff return. Secondly, a 15-yard penalty tacked on. Shortly after, another 15-yard penalty. You don't win football games like that. So, long way for them to go. But we're even at 9:38, still in quarter number 1. And the Vikings will actually get the ball from the kickoff situation the first time, even though they've scored a touchdown.
Vikings
do have the wind to their back, and I sort of felt, Jason, like that was going to be a big factor tonight in a breezy night. You know, I've been up here at the stadium a lot of times, and I think the wind blows here even when it's calm everywhere else. It just always seems to be breezy in Welcome Stadium. Even if it's a warm breeze, it's a little bit of a chilly one tonight. Here's Caldwell's kick. It's fairly short. It looks like Freddie Brown will take it in at about the 8. He swings to his left and looks for a seam, and he is going to be buried. And it's still inside the 10-yard line. Instead of coming straight up the field, Freddie ran laterally from the sideline trying to get in behind some blocking, and a couple of middies got through there. Chris Wells, who is their outstanding linebacker, probably the best defensive football player they have, number 36, and you'll see a lot of him out there, gets down there to put the clamp. So they're going to start just short of the 10-yard line.
Not good field position at all for the Vikings here on their second offensive possession, but really their first.
Okay, we've got Houston, got Gatewood, got Olverson in the backfield. This one goes to Gatewood, and the ball might have been loose, and it was. They went right in that slot and nailed Gatewood, as they did every time in our game with them at Middletown. The exchange was not clean, Jason.
Looks just like a repeat of the first meeting between the two teams. And Princeton returns the favor right back with fumbling the ball deep in their own territory.
Okay, now it's Middy breaks appearing, and you wonder, you know, is all the action, all the offensive action in this ball game going to take place in the first 5 or 6 minutes? Well, who knows?
Well, if it doesn't, it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Okay, we're just under 9 minutes in the first quarter. Chris Daniels, the Middy quarterback, has kept it on the ground in the other series. Here's Montai, and he gets very short yardage over this right side where Jamie Phillips, along with others, makes a stop.
Jamie's one of the is the leading tackler on the Vikings this year.
I believe I noticed in the media, in the newspaper, where Jamie was named Division I first-team player in Southwest Ohio, and certainly well-deserved, I think.
Definitely was.
Well, the gain is about 2. It's 2nd and 8. Here's Daniels with his team. He's back to throw. Rolling right, throws it up in the air, way to the back of the end zone. There could be a flag there, and they say intercepted. Okay.
Yeah.
Picked off in there by, I think, number 26, Sam Young. It was Sam. Jason, I was a little bit surprised that there wasn't a flag flying. I thought I saw a little bit of contact down there, but perhaps it was that situation where it's pretty much of a free ball. So now the Vikings get a break.
Great break there for the Vikings. They didn't want to go down 14-7 this early in the ball game. And there was a lot of contact down there, but I agree with you. I think it was just one of those cases where the ball was up for grabs and it was anyone's to get.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if the Viking coaches go a little different with this offense now. They come right to Gatewood. He makes a cut, gets yardage 30, 35, fights his way over the 40-yard line. A little more than 20 yards for James Gatewood, who instead of being met right in the slot this time, seemed to come back inside the guard that time. Normally hits in there between Ellerbusch and Blackwell, but took advantage of that Middletown flow, I think, Jason, and sidestepped a little and turns it into a 21-yard gain.
It's a good break there for the Vikings to get the ball back and then have a nice run there on the first play.
Well, we got a little field position now.
Definitely.
Okay. 1st and 10. Here's Olverson. Gets short yardage up to just short of the 45-yard line.
45-yard line. John Chenault on the stop for the Middies.
Okay, we need to pick up some Middy numbers here, some of them. That's a number we didn't have down that we hear being announced, and there are some different bodies out there, and we'll pick them up for you as we go. Okay, we're at 2nd and 7. Ball resting at the Princeton 45. Here's Olverson fighting his way up short of the 50. Gets close to the 50 for a nice gainer and a good effort by James. And there's Chris Wells, 36. You're going to see an awful lot of Chris Wells.
It's a good second effort there by James to get close to the 50-yard line and brings up a 3rd down and short.
Okay, the Vikings about 2 yards from a first down. They need to make the Middy 48. 3rd and 2, certainly a possession down in this situation here, but we're about midway in quarter number 1. Here's Olverson. There was some movement. He's at the 40-yard line before he's brought down. That's another first down, and that's also Chris Wells there. No, that's number 30, Terry Hunter, that time on the stop. So Viking first down coming right up the middle. Looked like maybe a little movement, Jason.
It was awful close there. I was looking for a little laundry on the floor there.
Well, you know, we're always around a lot of coaches and a lot of other people in this setting, and we heard people mumbling real quick, movement there, but not so. Okay. Here's Gatewood, rolls off the tackle, fighting for yard, almost gets off the stack and goes to about the 37, maybe the 36-yard line.
Nice second effort there by James. In the first game, they were meeting them right at the line just as they are tonight, but instead tonight they are breaking some of the tackles and getting a few extra yards.
Okay, we'll call it 3 and call it 2nd and 7. Earl Haley brings the play in for the Vikings. Get a little further downfield, you have to feel like you're in 4-down territory, and that's the kind of thing you look for early in a ball game and get the upper hand. Houston sets his team. Olverson, he holds it, tries to pitch it, finally does to Gatewood. Gatewood holds up and gets back to the line of scrimmage, and Jason, that looked like a comedy of errors.
Dangerous play there by Lamont, pitching that ball out to Gatewood, but they didn't fumble.
Well, looked like if James might have run all wide, he might have gotten a couple of yards out of it, certainly not a whole lot. The option play, of course, he had it in the gut of Olverson, saw he was going to be hit, pulled it out, and then he was wrapped up pretty quick. So 3 people had a shot at that, and it turns into a no gain. Well, we'll give him 1 and call it the 36 and make it 3rd and 6. Chenault splits wide to the left. Houston back to throw. He runs away from a little pressure, now heads upfield. He's got a first down at the 30 and 29, perhaps a 28-yard line. One man got through there and put a little pressure on him, and that was number 99, Scott Wills. Once he got by Wills, he had a little running room up the middle, tucked it under, and gets the first down. Now, definitely the Vikings are in 4-down country, and they can just maintain possession, Jason, and get a little yardage each time. We're in position to add points.
It's a good job there by Lamont to pull that ball down. He had no receivers open and had the opening and got the first down.
Okay, Chenault, who lines up tight, now splits once again to the left, and this time it's straight up the middle. Olverson, 20, cuts to the outside, 15, runs to the corner, 10, 5, goes out of bounds at about the 1-yard line, where he's caught, chased down over there by Jeff Gann from his corner spot. Olverson coming right up the middle over his own right guard, Jason.
It was a good job there by James to cut outside. Almost got in, but got cut down at the 1.
Early in the year, James, although a good runner, was not very good in the open field. He still doesn't have a lot of innate ability, but he's learning to read situations better, and he's becoming a good back. And don't forget, he's a junior. 1st and goal at the 1. Here's Gatewood, and he's into the end zone for the score. So the Vikings, who led early at 7-0, take it right back after the interception and drive 80 yards for the score. And maybe, Jason, I don't want to say so too early, but the Viking offense is beginning to look like old offenses we've seen.
They look good so far tonight. Got a big break with that interception in the end zone, and then they drive it right down the field. No problems whatsoever.
Well, Blaylock will attempt to add the 14th point. Buchanan takes the snap, gets it down. Blaylock's kick is up, and it is good. And with 4:08 remaining in quarter number 1, the score, the Princeton Vikings 14 and the Middletown Middies 7. 21 points, Jason, is quick. You know, I, for one, coming into this ball game, felt we had to be effective with the passing game a little bit, at least enough to keep this Middie defense that's just been outstanding all year off balance. But the Vikings have 14 points, and they haven't put the ball in the air yet.
No, they're doing a really good job on the ground. In the first game, Mancuso said that a lot of the blocking assignments were missed and a lot of penalties hurt them. But tonight, it seems like the blocking is doing a great job up front. And they're getting the job done, and the backs are finding the holes and hitting them.
Well, they're running, seem to be doing a nice job once they get through, though. They made some nice cuts. Well, now can the Princeton defense shut things down? Blaylock, the only other kickoff that didn't go into the end zone, Montai returned past midfield. It seems to me it might not be too bad an idea to kick this ball away from Montai. But
sure.
that's easier for me to say. I'm not down there.
Would be a good idea to keep it away from him. You don't want what happened last time to happen again.
Okay, we've got Colson on the far side. Montai in the middle, and this one's going to go right down the middle to Montai. He's got it at about the 3 this time. Olverson gets through, and this time he gets by Olverson, but he's taken down over there on the far side by, I believe, number 19, Brian Keaton.
Looks like number 87, Mike Mancini, was in on the play as well.
Viking special teams covers it a lot better than they did the first time. So here's Middletown with a 3rd possession of the night. We still have Daniels at quarterback. I don't know if this is some kind of a situation where he'll play a quarter or whether he's in there for the night. We'll have to see. He'll give it straight ahead to Smiley off the left side, and Carlos Smiley gets about 5 up over just over the 30-yard line. Linebacker Phillips, number 46, you'll see with many, many tackles for the Vikings, just as you will see number 36 for the Middie defense.
Jamie Phillips is the heart of this Princeton defense.
Okay, we've got Daniels with only 1 setback behind him this time. 2 people out to the side. Here's Smiley right straight up over his own left guard. He goes to the 33. That'll bring up a 3rd and about 2.
Big 3rd down play here for the Vikings. If they could stop them and make the Middies punt, could be a really big change in this football game.
Middies with John Calhoun playing as a wideout early in the year, very much of a running back. This is Smiley again, and he's hit it about the 34, and I don't believe he made it, Jason.
Good defense there by the Vikings. Looks like Jamie Phillips there again for the Vikings. Nothing new.
Middie punting unit comes on. It'll be a 4th and 1, really just about 1 full yard. The ball resting right over the 34, the yard to gain just over the 35. So Caldwell will back up to punt the ball. He'll be kicking it against the wind. This is the first punt of the night. We have Freddie Brown and Young back there deep. And there's a flag.
The Vikings fan really appreciated the defensive effort there to stop the Middies.
Yeah, let's see. Let's hope this is against Middies, because if not, the punter will go off the field. Okay, that'll back them up 5 more.
Well, that almost takes any chance out of a fake here,
well,
or anything about going for it.
You don't want to gamble in this situation, I don't think, this early. So it now becomes 4th and 6. Okay, Caldwell will kick it away. It's a bad punt, but it never know what kind of bounce you're going to get. You better get away from it, and I'm not sure if it touched anybody. It's going to roll dead at about the 49-yard line. We'll be back after this timeout. Well, we're not going to go. We're going to hang on here for about 1 minute and 45 seconds, Jason. And we thought we were going to have a timeout on the field, but that didn't happen. And so the Vikings will start at the 49-yard line in Middie territory, leading 14-7, minute and a half in quarter number 1.
Good field position for the Vikes.
Houston back to throw. Throwing long for Chenault, and we're going to get a flag. And it's going to go against number 3, Brian Colson. And I'll tell you, I don't think that's a good call at all. I think some feet got tangled, and I think the ball was not catchable, Jason. And that's something that sometimes is not interpreted properly. But
very close call there. Could go either way. For the Vikings, it went the good way. For the Middletown Middies, not so good.
Well, it appeared that Chenault did have him beaten. Of course, Houston's throwing with the wind, and it's a pretty stiff wind at times down there, and he overlet him just a little bit. Of course, in high school, that's a 15-yard penalty, and that's a first down for the Vikings at the Middletown 34. The ball resting just inside the 34. As you get a good look at this crowd here, and it is a very nice crowd at Welcome Stadium on a cool November night.
Looks like both sides are pretty full.
So it's 1st and 10 Vikings, the ball resting at the Middie 34-yard line. Houston has 2 men wide to the right. This time a little counter action comes back to Olverson, and James gets short yardage. Goes down at about the 31-yard line, it appears to us.
Pulled down by Chris Wells and John Kepler.
Nothing new again. Chris Wells in on the stop for the Middletown Middies.
Along with 48 Ketron, who's been in on several tackles early. We didn't have him in our early lineup, and I'm going to see if we can't get him on a chart here so we don't forget about him. Okay, 2nd and 7 for the Vikes. We'll send Chenault once again wide to the right after he lines up as a tight end. Houston with the option, pitches it to Gatewood. Gatewood tries to cut back at the 30 and is cracked down by Chris Wells. Stopped in his track. James Gatewood probably needs to keep moving in the same direction, not when you pull up on a football field, you give people a still shot at you, and Chris Wells had a good shot at it.
Looks like Lamont's pitch was just a little bit behind him, and Gatewood had to stop to get it. Luckily, it wasn't a fumble.
Well, we're looking at 10 seconds, and I'm not sure we're going to get this play off. We might. 6, 5, they may get it going out here. Yeah, he's going to get it going, and he's back to throw. Throwing over the middle, caught by Chenault at the 22, 20, 15, on his feet at the 10, and goes to the 6-yard line. Curtis Chenault, Jason, with an absolutely wonderful move after he made the catch. So the passing game is a big help.
Good pass there by Lamont Houston.
Okay, I'm going to cut you off because we got to take a timeout here. We'll say after 1 quarter, it's Princeton 14, Middletown 7, OHSAA Division I Championship Playoffs. We'll be right back.
This afternoon here at beautiful Welcome Stadium, the undefeated University of
Welcome Stadium, Dayton, Ohio. 1 quarter is quite different fashion than they did in September, Jason.
Sure is. Both teams are moving the ball pretty good here so far.
Okay, flags are on at the, I believe, about the 6-yard line, and here's Olverson, takes it, and it goes inside the 5 to about the 3-yard line. Okay, man calls it the 2. He may have a little better view than we have, but we'll say it's in good territory. The scoreboard says 2, so we'll go with it. It's really about the 2.5, I think, Jason, but we got 3 cracks at getting it in there. Olverson on what almost appears at times to be a little bit of a delay, maybe taking advantage of some of this pursuit of this Middletown defense. 2nd and goal. Here's Olverson trying to pick his way a little further. He's down to about the 1, perhaps.
Midi defense stopped them right there, stacked it up. Looks like several of the Middletown Middies are on the stop.
A little slow getting up. I assume everybody's all right, and they're just tangled up pretty good. And the ball really isn't any closer than the 2, Jason. So I'm going to call it the 2-yard line. We're going to have a timeout here, and it's timeout Princeton, and probably not a bad idea. You know, so often you wait till that 4th down situation, then you got one thing to deal with. Here, you're looking at 2 downs, and knowing Princeton as you do, you have to feel like we're going to keep it on the ground, Jason, but we've been fooled a little bit this year.
Yeah, there's Mancuso will do that to you.
Mancuso's call has to be with the play line. They split 2 people wide to the left here. Same 2 all year long, Gatewood and Olverson. Olverson right ahead, and he's going to go right to the goal line. I don't believe he got in. They tried to run the trap. Princeton people were a little, thought I think that Olverson got in, but you know, the other thing that you're going to nail it and they're going to go for 6. You know, there's been a lot of situations over the years where you looked up and said it'd be better to get a 2-score lead. And I don't know, you're 4th and 1. It reminds us of sanitation 2 or 3 years ago. Over a couple years ago, but here's a play. Could be a mighty big one as this game is corrected, and here's a penalty.
That could change this whole situation.
Looks like they were going to go to the left side to Gatewood and try to go in behind. And it's on Middletown, and that's going to make it even that much closer. I guess it's a moot point to bring up, Jason. Any other way, then I think the Vikings would have brought the field goal in, and we'd have been looking at 6 yards away to try to get that more than 5 lead. But as it is, we're fourth and problem. It says goal, and you folks can see where the ball is resting, and we can too, and it's certainly not more than a foot or a foot and a half away. So let's see if the Vikings can buck up and get it in here now. Houston looks like he's changing the play at the line of scrimmage. Let's see what we got. He'll give it to Olverson. That's the touchdown. Quarter number 2. The Vikings widen the lead. 4-7. Blaylock will come on and try to tack on the extra point.
I think everyone is surprised to see the Vikings offense doing as well as they are against this tough Middletown defense. Already have 20 points on the board, looking for 21 here, and I don't think anyone would expect to see that in the first half.
So 4 quarters all year, without that happening to the Middies all year. Blaylock's kick is up. It's right through. It ankles after it goes through, but it's there. So it's 21 Princeton, Middletown Middies 7. There's 10:04 to go in the second quarter. Well, this Viking team and this bench and this staff has to feel awful good about what's happening down there right now. And you just wonder. You wonder what's going through the minds on the other side of the field. I don't mean to belabor a point. Certainly not with any intent at all, Jason, other than the fact that the things that have gone on all week just have to be weighing on some minds over there. And what do we do now, and can we get it going? This is a good football team. When I saw them play in September, and I saw a lot of football games this year, I believe they were the best football team I have, certainly the best one I saw during the regular season. And there's a long, long way to go in this ball game. A long way, and we need to remember that.
Well, last week the Vikings jumped out over to a 14-0 lead just to have Dayton OH come back and tie the score at 14, and that's their lead right now. So they have to be careful that they don't let momentum switch back to Middletown.
This is a Viking team that's made a lot of mistakes to hurt themselves frequently. Here's Blaylock, who'll kick it now into a tough wind, and this is Colson at about the 13-yard line, and he cuts right. Gets through there a little bit, wrapped up on about the 27 or 28-yard line. There's key number 8.
And
42, who's 42?
I think that's Joe Bonner.
Joe Bonner, you got it. Backup linebacker. Fills in for both Phillips and Whitehead off and on. Good football player who'll see a lot of action in 1991.
He should step in and fill the void of the graduation of Jamie Phillips.
1st and 10 at the Middie, 28. Daniels, Monty, Smiley. He'll go back and look to throw, and gets away and finally brought down by, I believe, Corey Glass, number 98. So it is Kindred this time in there. So it is not Daniels, number 11, who we expected to start the ball game. Been the Middie quarterback all year. Makes some things pretty exciting for this team. Can get this offense going. Throws it pretty well. Has a lot of quickness. Will run the ball himself some. Picks up about 4 and brings up 2nd and 6. He'll give it this time straight ahead to, the ball is loose. And I don't know if it was a rule to fumble. Yes, it was. It was lying there loose. And finally getting on it was number 65 of the Middies. If we got a name on that young man, we certainly do somewhere. Tom Hamill, right.
At the 37-yard line.
I believe that was Ellerbusch who made the initial hit there. Of course, fumble.
Off the 37, just about a yard short of first down. They had the Middie runner stopped pretty much for no gain, Jason, but when the ball came loose, it converted it into 3 or 4 more yards. So 3rd and 1. It's Carson Smiley. Boy, he's hit right in his tracks. Corey Glass, and getting up off the bottom in there somewhere. Was that Phillips again or someone else?
That was Jamie Phillips there with down there at the bottom of the stack, and Corey Glass came in from the side to help him out.
Well, I believe they're going to measure this thing. They gave him a little bit of forward progress, and it's going to keep it. Even though the Middie punter is already on the field, a special unit, I thought they were going to, and they are going to bring it in. This may be a little closer than they think it is.
You are blocking someone else's view. You are expected to sit down. Please respect the other spectators who paid for their seats today.
I'm trying to take a look at this for you. It is a good bit short, and you have to feel like one of these times here the Middies are going to pull a little fake or something.
You got to be wondering about that.
Well, you know, it's one of those contests where there's no tomorrow, you know, and you got to find some ways to get things turned around for yourself. But Caldwell is standing deep. They do have a short man. Stands back there. And that's number 22, and my glasses and my cold hands can do it. That's Jeff Gann that stands short. He's a defensive back, so we'll always be aware that situation that could happen. Now, Sam Young and Randy Brown are downfield, but they're not downfield very far with the breeze that's blowing, and this man's got it to his back this time. He gets the snap, and he gets it away, and it's a high kick that you need to get away from, and it takes a big bounce and goes out of bounds at the Princeton 26-yard line. So the Vikings will take over already with 21 points on the board, leading 21-7 here. 7:53 remaining in the second quarter. And the Vikings, except for the time they fumbled, Jason, I believe have converted every possession into points.
Yes, they have, and I think the real shock here is that Middletown's defense is not very successful stopping the Vikings offense as they were in the first meeting. But on the other hand, the Vikings defense is right there every time and have stopped the Middletown Middies the last two possessions.
Well, we'll talk about why we think some of that might be happening in just a minute as Houston says his team appears to be changing the play one more time. He'll give the ball immediately to Olverson, and Olverson is shut down very quickly for a loss of about a yard up on the 25-yard line. 46 Wells. And number 30, Terry Hunter, right there in the area, too. So the Vikes, if he did change the play, he made a bad change, Jason.
Yeah, that was not very successful.
And, you know, Lamont's had some problems doing that this year, and the staff's told him to cut that down a good bit. There have been times they've told him, just don't change anything for a while. So here's Olverson one more time, and this time he's hit off the trap situation right in his tracks again. They'll put it down right on the 25, and here's a flag that goes up in the air. This one, I think, is going to go against the Vikings.
The Princeton Vikings are letting their tempers get the best of them right now. Looks like another unsportsmanlike conduct or a personal foul of some sort.
This is the kind of thing that can take your momentum away very, very quickly. It's
unsportsmanlike conduct.
Princeton's going to have to cut out these penalties if they want to win this football game.
Well, what you're looking at in this situation is that you got the wind in your face, and you're going to have to punt it away unless you have a mighty big play on third and real long, and you're not likely to put it up down here. You give Jeff Blaylock a tough job putting it into the wind, and you're going to give the Middies the ball perhaps on your end of the field, and you just want to keep teams, you just don't want to make those kind of mistakes, Jason, and every coach knows that. He is going to put it up. Now he's going to run. 20, up to the 20, 25, cuts outside, tries to get away from a tackler, and gets to about the 28-yard line. What he did was get the penalty yardage back in a little bit more.
It's a good job there by Lamont to get him out of the hole there and give Jeff Blaylock some room to punt. And the Middletown Middies won't end up with as good a field position as we thought.
Well, it's not a first down, but it's a lot better play than people might think it is in that situation, because you know, that 12, 13 yards that he picked up there could really, it's an extra first down for the Middies to have to pick up to bring it downfield. Gives Blaylock a little rim. Okay, they've got 9 men on the line of scrimmage. You wonder when they're coming after one of these. He'll put his first one of the night, and this one is into the wind, and he doesn't have a rush, and it's up, and it's hanging high, and it's going to be taken on the 36-yard line by Mason. Goes to the 40 and goes down immediately and tries to crawl along for a couple of yards. But in high school football, that doesn't work. Eddie Mason on the return.
Number 85, Curtis Chenault was there to make the stop.
Well, you saw what happened to that ball. When it got into this pretty good breeze, it just sort of hung straight in the air, and that's this field position situation gets so important as the season goes on and the winds pick up. All right, here's Kindred from his own 41 straight back to throw it. Throwing it out in the flat, bounces just short of Denny Mason. Covering out there, Sam Young on the play as Phillips moved over to help him, but pass ruled incomplete. 2nd and 10, Middletown.
Looked like decent pressure there by number 92, Chris Myrie, for the Vikings.
Vikings since, well, really last week, although against Moeller a little bit, but really last week began to use the blitz, a thing that has just been non-existent all year. Not because they couldn't, they just chose to play a very conservative type defense. Okay, here's Kindred with the pitch, dangerous, and goes for Smiley, and he's got some yardage to about the 45-yard line. Kindred almost wrapped up and almost didn't get that ball away, but Carson Smiley made the nice catch and turns it into a 3-yard gain. Well, let's call it 4.
Senior nose tackle Dean Allen made the stop.
Dean Allen with an interception last week for a touchdown. Senior defensive lineman, what a thrill. You look for it your whole career, and finally that time comes when your name's in the paper with points on the board. 3rd and 6. Kindred with someone wide left, draw play, and stopping it immediately is Jamie Phillips. It looks like if he gets by Jamie Phillips, so Jason, there's big yardage in the running.
And another nice job there by Jamie Phillips, who is the heart of this defense. Everything revolves around him.
Okay, the Middies at their own 46-47 bring Caldwell in to punt it away again. Once again, the wind at his back, a stiff wind as it is. He gets it off, and it's a nice punt, driving Young back, and it's going to bounce into the end zone. Sam looked like he was going to try to field it like an outfielder does.
Getting a little worried there. I thought he was going to catch that ball, and that could have really been dangerous.
Well, if he hadn't gotten it, then it becomes free, and his momentum's going one way. The ball could have gone another way, and it could have been another one of those big break things. But fortunately, he pulled those hands down, and it took the right kind of hop. So the Vikes put it in play at the 20-yard line with 4:21 remaining in the first half. Princeton leading 21-7. 28 points in this ball game. Who would have thought it?
Not too many people, I don't believe.
I think you're right. Vikings spread them all over the field. One man to the left, two to the right, and it looks like maybe some illegal movement there. The offensive backs of Princeton are pointing the other way, but let's see what happens here. Yes, it is. Middy went into the neutral zone. The Vikes are doing an awful lot of moving of people, Jason. That's something that's just not done very much on Chester Road, you know. We don't do a whole lot of that. We usually come up and stay pretty still and make it as simple as we can. But in most cases, Chenault's lining up as a tight end. And then before the snap, there he goes one more time. You see him at the top of your picture. Splits, and now here we've got someone else. Now this might go back the other way. Now the Vikes are backing away from the ball. I think they've got a little movement right in the middle.
I do believe they knew they were guilty party there.
If you were a scout from another place onto this game, you would have to say that these two teams are doing a good job of trying to wipe one another out. Or wipe themselves out is what I really meant to say. And so we're back to the 20, and it's 1st and 10. It's been 1st and 10, 1st and 5, 1st and 10. Now we're 4:20 to go in quarter number 2. Houston with the gift to Olverson. Yardage up over the 25, maybe close to the 26 for Chris Wells. And once again, along with Wells, is Terry Hunter. Those two guys that back up the middle of that Middletown line, you're going to see a whole lot of them. They're two fine football players. Wells, 5'11", 200-pounder, and Terry Hunter, a little bit more of a fire plug, 5'8" and 220, and he is just a junior, so we'll be seeing him again in 91. The Vikes look at a 2nd and 4. Houston with the gift to Olverson again, and he looked like he had a little room, but knifing in there at the last minute, I believe, was maybe Hunter, along with a lot of other people, and that turns into about, well, I was going to say a half-yard loss, but they're going to put it down right back on the 26. Is that the same thing where there seems to be a little bit of a delay in the count. It just doesn't look like the normal Viking trap. It looks like they're waiting a half step and hoping that defense pursues beyond. Maybe I'm just seeing that, and it's not so. But anyway, we're looking at a 3rd and 4. A little over 3 minutes till halftime here. Back to throw it is Houston. He's got pressure. Steps away from that one, and down he goes. Give credit to Ketron on that sack as such, although he didn't actually have him and take him down. He threw him off balance, and Houston couldn't get his feet back under him, and down he goes. So the Vikings lose about 7 on the play, and it's 4th and 11, and with 2:53 to go in the half, the Middies will take a timeout. And that's a good call, Jason. They want all the time they can once they get the football.
Yeah, they should end up with pretty good field position as the Vikings will have to punt from their 19, and the 2 deep Middies are about at their own 45, so they're looking to get good field position here and maybe put 7 points on the board before halftime and pull within 7. The Middies defense has come alive here. Last 2 possessions, they have stopped the Vikings.
It began to look like the defense we've seen all year. You know, until that Motorball game, 2 teams had scored 14 points on them, one in a win over Fairfield. It was 21-14. That was pretty early. It was actually a week, I think, before Princeton faced them. The other 14 was 14 scored by St. X in that win the last game of the regular season. One other time they were in double figures, the opponent, and that was Hamilton, when Hamilton won the game 10-7.
I think that was a big shock to everybody because Princeton had little trouble handling Hamilton, but Middletown lost 10-7 at home, which was really a big surprise.
Okay, Blaylock standing on his 5. Hitting receiver standing at about their own 45. Need a good snap here and get this thing out of there. And the snap is there. They came after it, but it goes off the side of his foot. I don't believe they'll field it. It'll take a hop and bounce over midfield. It's going to roll to the 45-yard line before it's stopped. And there's a flag down. What if somebody got him back there, Jason?
I think it might be roughing the kicker, and it is.
There was a lot of pressure on him. And I looked away as soon as the ball went in the air, and somebody must have come on into it.
This could be a first down for the Vikings unless it's a 5 or a 15-yard penalty.
Well, I think they're all in high school 15 in this situation, Jason, so it should give them the first down.
Crucial mistake there by the Middies.
Well, what it does probably, even though the Vikings may not convert that into anything, it takes their opportunity away of getting the ball in a real good field position for halftime. Of course, assuming the Vikes don't turn it over, we can never assume that in high school football things happen.
I look for the Vikings to keep the ball on the ground here, see if they can run out the time and see if they can put a score on the board.
Well, we're at 2:30 and counting. Quarter number 2, 21-7 Princeton. They'll send 2 wide men to the right. They keep Chenault in there this time, and he'll looks like a quarterback draw. As Houston, I don't think he really was, I'm not sure really looking for anybody, Jason. He just stepped back and looks for a gap and tried to come straight upfield. He might have got a half a yard, not any more than that, but I guess maybe it's good that the clock still runs, and we're coming up on the 2-minute mark. This not being professional football, we don't have a 2-minute warning. All resting just short of the 35-yard line. We'll call it still 2nd and 10 for the Vikes. Haley and Sanders wide to the right, 2 setbacks. This one will go to Gatewood. No, it keeps it. Houston with yardage at the 40, at the 41, perhaps the 42-yard line.
Good effort there by Lamont to get about 8 on that play.
Made a nice fake. Fooled me. I really thought that he had given the ball to Gatewood, but at 3rd down, with a 3rd down and about 3 coming up, the Middies use another timeout. Second as far as I know, and hoping they can stop this 3rd down play and have a chance maybe to block a punt, maybe to get a big return. Of course, Princeton wants a 1st down, and they don't want the ball in those Middies' hands at this point.
It's a big play here for the Vikings. If they could pick up a 1st down, they could almost guarantee themselves of at least a 14-point lead going into halftime, which would really be a big boost to the Vikings.
Well, a little bit of I would say, a bit of a surprise. As you said, I don't think anybody expected to see 21 points on the board for either team at halftime, and a lot of those points came very early, and ever since then, both these teams that are strong defensively have kind of gotten things together. Okay, the ball at the 41, just over the 41. The Vikes have to go to about the 44, so third and about 3. Houston back and rolling right. He's going to take a look, and he will throw it right to him. Maybe it's caught by Colson at the 48-yard line. Retreats backward and taken down by Nathan Kiger at his own 48, and that's the one thing you do not want to do.
That's why I was really surprised the Vikings had put up the football. I figured they'd keep the ball on the ground.
And I imagine that Coach Mancuso will have a few lectures.
It looks like he's talking to Lamont down there right now. I didn't see one Viking anywhere near that football.
We have to realize that's a high school youngster, Jason, but we also have to realize he's played 11 ball games as a starting quarterback now, and you just don't do that in that situation. Here's Kindred. He's rolling out to his right and looking in some trouble, and he's going to go down at about the 40 or 41-yard line. The clock runs with 1 minute to go. We've got a Viking hurt downfield, and that is a very important Viking in the defensive backfield. That's Rayshon Hutchins. Hutchins is down back on the Princeton 26-yard line. I didn't see what happened. I have no idea what the situation was with him, but he is rolling around and appears to be in some pain down there. I don't know if he turned something or what. Now here comes Coach Mancuso on the field. Now you have a shot.
Looks like either an ankle or a knee. Rayshon was second in the city this year with 7 interceptions.
And becoming a fine football player.
Yes, and he is only a junior, as most of the secondary is for the Vikings. They'll have a lot of returning starters next year on the defense, as well as a few on the offense.
He gets better. He's gotten better every week. I believe he's been a very important part of that. Now, if they're going to get him up, that's a good sign. They wouldn't put him up if that knee was bad, so maybe it's just a little bit of a twist or bruise, or maybe he got caught with someone else's knee. He's being helped off and having a little problem putting the weight on that left leg. I don't know if we'll be able to get a report for you. That's Dr. John Turbo, the finest knee surgeon, in my opinion, in the city of Cincinnati, in that tan coat, helping him off of there. So
looks like
sure he'll check him out. Like a Middie down on the far side.
Looks like number 6, Daryl Monte. That would be a big kill for the Middletown Middies if he had to leave the game.
Those are 2 very important people in this ball game for their respective teams. So the Middies with 2nd and 16, the ball resting on their own 42, 49 seconds in the half, so you know they're going to put it up. And back goes Kindred to throw, and he throws a little screen off the hands of Carlos Smiley. Trying to take advantage of that Viking pursuit, so it'll bring up 3rd and 16, 42 seconds now. It's a play that took 7 seconds.
Looks like Rayshon Hutchins, the injured Viking on the previous play, is trying to walk that injury off, and hopefully we'll get back in this ball game in the second half.
Checking him out is Alan Howell, physical therapist that works closely with Dr. Turbo. The Vikings are very, very fortunate, as most high school football teams are, to have good medical people on the sideline. I think you'll see Hutchins back. He looks like he's coming around. Okay, 3rd and long. Kindred back to throw it. No pressure much this time. Now he's throwing long down the side for Mason, and Shondale Wolford, number 27, goes up and bats it away. That's one of those where he just said, let's put it up there, folks.
And I believe he's a little slow getting up down there. Looks like tailbone there.
I think Shondale just went down pretty good bruise as such, and this turf, when it gets cold, gets pretty hard out there, Jason. Okay, the Middies will not gamble here and give Princeton a shot at something along themselves. It appears they won't anyway, as they bring the punting unit in. About their own 42, and I don't believe that Princeton will put anybody back. In these situations, they just say, get away from it and let it roll, and we'll try to kill the clock. So we'll see what happens here. Freddie Brown is just a little ways back. He's standing on the Princeton 40, only about 18 yards downfield. Comes Larry Williams in, the normal safety man. They're taking Brown back out, so they're going to play it with their regular defensive unit. And now Mike Orson wants a timeout. And Coach Mancuso wants a timeout. So there's a lot of confusion on the Princeton bench whether they were going to try to handle this punt at all. I think that
might not be a bad idea for the Vikings to try to block this one, especially if they're not going to have any money back, but you do have to look for that fake.
Well, with this, you know, you're not going to get much done when you get the ball on your 15 or 20-yard line with 25 seconds to go, and you're not going to gamble those kind of things. So they may have been out there short a regular player with Hutchins on the sideline, and it looks like they're bringing in Brian Keaton, who has played the monster back spot an awful lot when Sam Young was out for a game or two, and Brian's played some of defensive halfback, so I assume he's in there in Hutchins' spot. I think Coach Mancuso just plain and simply wants his regular defensive unit on the field. Got Mancini back there at a defensive halfback, Keaton at the other side. Shondale Woolfolk is not out there. If he is, he's in a position I'm not used to seeing him in, and safety Larry Williams.
He's down on the sideline, so he's not in the game either. So two crucial defensive backs for the Vikings are out at this time.
Well, he's going to throw a pass, and it's going to be caught, and goes down at the 45, and now will Princeton take a timeout? Here's a flag. Well, you know what that's going to be. That's an ineligible receiver deal, Jason.
And another flag comes flying in a little late.
So the Viking, and there's another Viking down hurt on the Middy 25-yard line, and that's Buki Ajayi, I believe, 99 that's down. So this game is turning into, I don't know if this AstroTurf's catching up with some of these kids, and he appears to be okay. Maybe a little bit gimpy coming off, but he's beginning to jog.
I think the Vikings might get a break here.
I believe that's an automatic loss of down also, isn't it? If it is, then of course they're going to take the penalty and they're going to get the ball too. No, they decline it. Okay. I guess it's not a loss of down.
The Vikings still come up with good field position here. 25 seconds left. They have the ball in Middletown territory. You might think about getting a few yards here and see maybe about a field goal.
The only thing about the field, they'll start the clock, so Coach Mancuso not paying much attention to what's going on, and we've got an offensive lineman missing out here. And they're letting the clock run at 14 seconds, and I guess we can't complain about that a whole lot, but I thought they might try to sling one down the field, and they're probably not even going to get the playoff. We're up to 5 seconds, and Houston is going to go to the locker room. He'll step out of there and say, forget that, folks, we're just glad that where we are. And so we're in landing. They have the play, and the score. Princeton Vikings 21 and the Middletown Middies 7. We'll be back with second half action. South's first game, things changed around here in the first half. A lot of action real early, and you and I were talking just before we came back on here, and you made mention of a situation you think turned the thing around. Tell us what it was.
I think back in the first quarter when Middletown recovered the Princeton fumble down deep in the zone, and their quarterback dropped back to pass, and the pass was picked off by Sam Young. And then the Vikings got the ball at the 20 and drove 80 yards. So instead of being down 14-7, they took a 14-7 lead. And I think from then on,
which in essence is a 14-point turnaround, and I'll sure agree with that, and that's a good observation. Let's take a look at a few little statistics here as the Middies are coming back on the field. I see some Viking staff members, so they will certainly be back out here shortly. First downs in the first half, the Vikings with 8, the Middies with 2. The interesting thing about that, too, is that there are only 2 first downs that come by penalty. That's what happened to us at Middletown in the first game. We had only 3 first downs in the game, the total game. Rushing yardage, the Vikings are up 120 to 44. Passing yardage, it's 26 to 3. So total yards, 146 for Princeton and 46 47 for Middletown. I was just telling Jason a moment ago that I think the Viking total yardage at the first contest in Middletown back in September was in the 40s. That was a total yardage, and they've still got a half to go. And unless they lose 100 yards in this half, that's not going to happen. Of course, the Vikes were 1 for 2, really with also an interception. You know, last week, Jason, Houston was the same way. Threw the ball 5 times, 4 to us and 1 to them. This week, he's thrown it twice, once to us and 1 to them. He doesn't often throw a ball somebody doesn't catch. It seems like. So for 2 games, or at least a game and a half, that's the way it's been. Well, the Middletown quarterbacks combined 1 for 5. As you know, Chris Daniels opened the game at quarterback unexpectedly as far as we were concerned. C.C. Kindred must have been under some kind of disciplinary situation that kept him out for at least a quarter, because when the Middies turned it around and headed down the other way, then we saw number 11 in there. The only other significant statistic I see is the vast amount of penalty yardage on both teams. The Vikes penalized 5 times for 50 yards, Middletown 7 times for 54 yards. Usually, when you get to this level of competition, you have teams that don't make mistakes of that magnitude, Jason, and that's really a little bit surprising to see that much, although these are teams that were heavily penalized all year.
Yes, the penalties have hurt the Vikings in numerous games this year, and so far tonight, they've hurt a little bit, but they're getting away with a lot of them because Middletown's committing more.
Well, it remains to be seen with 24 minutes of football to go, and a whole lot of things can happen, but on this blustery, rather cool, rather than saying cold, we're going to say cool so we won't feel so bad. I'm seeing this breeze. November night, 2 weeks away from championship time in Ohio. We're with 8 teams right now, still in, well, really 7 in the hunt. As you know, there were 4 games in Division I around this weekend. One of them was played last night, and that one was played up at the Akron Rubber Bowl. Warren Harding with a 31-6 win over Austintown Fitch, and you know that's a little surprising to us, the margin, because Austintown Fitch is the team that dethroned St. Ignatius, 2-year state champion, beat us 2 years ago, knocked Moeller off last year. And they've actually beaten a good Massillon team this year, so they're a good ball club. Now we see Hutchins, I've got to mention this, limping along the sideline. We were going to talk about the other teams left in a little bit. I don't know, maybe he's got a cramp situation there, because it looked like he tried to go out and work it, and now maybe he's pretty gimpy. So there's assistant coach George Call talking with him, or not even medical people around him. Maybe he's just out. Maybe he's done something to put him out here. Ed Hartnett has hold of him now. Rayshon Hutchins has been an important cog in this defensive wheel, and we need to have him healthy out there to be a strong defensive end. Anyway, let me laugh. I'm dominating a little bit here, but the other games, I want to mention the other games. Up in the Akron Rubber Bowl right now going on at Sandusky is playing Massillon, Washington. And up the road just a piece, Piqua is facing Columbus Brookhaven, plus this game here tonight. So you're in the last 8, and you're in good competition at this level. The Vikings, 3-time state champion, would like to get back to that final game, but you take them one at a time, Jason, and this is a big one yet to go, a big half right here.
Yes, 1 half of football to go. They have a 14-point lead, and hopefully they can hold on to it and get to the semifinals next weekend. They do have an advantage. They will get the football to start the third quarter, and hopefully they can drive the ball down the field and score a touchdown and take a 21-point lead.
Well, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. I just observed something that's very interesting to me. What do you see happen out there? Anything? Look at the way we're going to go.
And we're going to be going into with the wind here in the third quarter, and we will be going into the wind in the fourth quarter, which could be a big factor if this game would come down to a field goal.
Probably a good choice by the Middies. You know, if it could come down to that, or field position becomes very important late in the game, they're going to have that wind to their back. So, interesting call by the Middies staff. Rather than back us up right now, you know, they're going to take their chances kicking into the wind early and hope they can get back in it without the wind. We're about ready to go here. 24 more minutes of action here tonight. As the Middies with Caldwell and his team ready approaches the football, and they were offside, and there goes the flag down. There's no question about that. And that's a dead ball situation, so they'll back it up 5 yards. A man way over on the far side. And, you know, we don't often see that, Jason, but tell them what yard line we're sitting on.
We're sitting right there on the 40-yard line, so we had a bird's-eye view of it.
It's another little mistake there that you say, well, you can't afford those kind of things, but every little bit of yardage hurts, and that's the 8th penalty against the Middies, and it happens here before the clock even starts in the second half.
That could really help the Vikings out. Another 5 yards kicking into the wind could get the Vikings really good field position here.
Okay, we have Freddie Brown on the far side, James Olverson on the near side. Caldwell will kick it now from his own 35-yard line. He uses the left hash mark. Probably want to kick the ball to, want to at least restrict the field. Coaches like to keep the field a little thinner. Freddie Brown will take it at about the 11. Doesn't field it real well. Gets in behind a wall and gets very little. So the 5-yard penalty really didn't hurt him at all. They seem to be waiting for blockers, and I don't remember that I've seen that happen early in the year. They seem to be trying to get people in a group and wiggle their way through. And this Middletown defense just chopping those blockers down.
So the Vikings really didn't capitalize on that 5-yard penalty and kicking into the wind there. And they'll start at the 24.
Coach Scotty Miltonberger, special teams coach, is going to have to get a little something extra done if we have other kickoff returns. Let's hope there are no more kickoff returns for us tonight.
That hopefully will be the last one for the Middletown Middies.
First down Vikings, their own 24. Houston with the fake and keeps it and gets very short yardage, trying to run right in behind the back he faked to, that being James Gatewood. Gets to about the 25, perhaps just over the 25. We'll call it a short gain of 1 and make it 2nd and 9. Princeton offense, the plays are brought in by the wide receivers for the most part. Tonight, that being Earl Haley and Sanders. What did I say it right or wrong? Which one? We've had some Saunders. We've had some Sanders. Okay, 2nd and 9. He'll fake it and keep it and pitch it. And he throws it bad, and it's going to be picked up by Middie, I believe. Where's the ball? I believe they've got it. And lo and behold, the second half is starting exactly like the first half.
That's a crucial mistake there by Lamont Houston. He pitched the ball way behind James Olverson, and he could not recover to get the football back. There's still a pile down there, but I do believe the Middletown Middies have recovered.
Well, it certainly looked like they had the football. They had a lot more people around it. Only one Viking there trying to go after it, and that was Olverson, I think, originally trying to get down to the ball. And yeah, the defense is on the field, and Ketron has it. That's a huge break for the Middies. We've given them some pretty good shots at getting back in this thing, Jason. So the ball just inside the 10-yard line. They can't make a first down, but they're in absolutely wonderful position right now.
Well, it's going to be
Kindred.
It's going to be up to the defense to stop him here.
With a heavy bounce to the right side, and they give it looked like, to the little back, Montai. No, they give it to Smiley, and Smiley goes into about the 8-yard line. We'll call it the 2nd and 8.
Senior Dean Allen, number 90, in on the stop there for the Vikings.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I picked up an unbalanced line for the Middies that time. I think they had moved both tackles over to the right side and tried to run in behind them, but the Vikes snuffed it down pretty good. 2nd and goal at the 8. Kindred with 2 people wide left gives it to Smiley. The ball is loose and recovered on about the 2-yard line by the Middies, I believe.
I think we had a no call there. He called it a touchdown, but that ball's clearly on the 2-yard line.
Well, I think he read the wrong line, but it's just the same thing that happened early in the game. They fumbled the ball and gained big yardage by the fumble. The ball, actually, the player was hit right in his tracks at the 8-yard line. The ball bounces 5 yards forward. They recovered. It'll bring up 3rd and 3 on the 3-yard line. 3rd and goal, actually, on the 3.
Vikings can't seem to capitalize on Middletown's fumbles. They seem to pick up yardage after him.
9.5 minutes, 3rd quarter, 21-7 Vikes. Middies threaten. Here's Kindred sliding. He pitches it to Smiley. Smiley is
grabbed at about the 1 or 2 yard line and brought down way over there on the far side. It looked like he had a one-on-one situation, which is a back you normally want, but the Vikings closed in to make the stop, and we're going to try to get a read on the yard line down there. Whoever got a hold of him didn't give much ground, and help was there quick. So it looks like it's on about the 2, Jason. What do you say? Somewhere around the 2 yard line?
Somewhere around the 2 yard line, 2.5.
Maybe it is closer to the 3. The scoreboard says a 3. So it's 4th down, and this could be the play of the night right here. This Middletown momentum or not.
Big play here for the Princeton defense.
Kindred rolling right. He's going to throw it over the outstretched hands of Mason with wonderful pressure back there from Josh Johnson, I believe, number 89.
Number 89, Josh Johnson got in there and made Kindred get rid of the football a little earlier than he wanted to, and he overthrew his receiver. A big turnaround here in this ball game.
So the Vikes dodge a huge bullet. There's no other way to say it. Now start from their own 3 with the wind to their back, and if they don't get much out of here, then maybe that Jeff Blaylock can give them a little breathing room. But holding on to the football is the big thing. In the first half, the Vikes did not turn it over in that situation, but they threw the intercept. Okay, here we go. Straight up the field, Olverson tries to come in a little trap situation, and I don't believe he gained a yard. In fact, I believe he might have lost a half a yard. That's right. The ball goes from about the 2.5 back to the 1 yard line, and now Princeton is flirting with 2-point problems.
Not the place you want to be, down there deep.
So it's a 2 yard loss, and you almost have to run straight up field. They know that. You got to have a little bit of room. We're just over 8 minutes, third quarter. Houston sets his team. He tries to run outside, gets a little room, gets over the 5 yard line, which gives him a little bit of breathing room. Faked the dive play to Gatewood and came outside.
Good call there by Lamont to keep the football there, to pick up about 4 yards, get him out of the hole a little bit and give him a little more breathing room.
I'm going to put it down right on the 5, and it's 3rd and 8. They'd lost 2 and picked up 4. Wouldn't be bad to give just a little bit of breathing room to Jeff Blaylock here before he has to punt it out of there. Jeff punted once in the first half and had to punt into the wind. That one went for 36 yards. I'm sure he'd like the chance to get the breeze behind him. Houston keeping it again, tries to cut it upfield. He just holds the ball. That's the only big thing right there, so be sure that ball doesn't get away from you. So with a little over 7 minutes remaining in the third quarter, 7:09 and counting, comes a Viking punting unit onto the field. And Middies will get the ball for the first time in this half. Standing on the Princeton 40 is number 12, Chris Daniels, a backup quarterback. And on the far side, I believe that's Mason, the wide receiver. This is one of those times when Chris Blaylock really needs to get his foot into one.
And he's got a good leg, so that wind could really help him out here.
There's a flag. It's a dead ball situation. Appears to be. I don't know who that one's going to go against. Vikes are backing up a little bit. So on the Vikes, that'll back it up a little more and give Jeff not a whole lot of room to get it out of there.
That doesn't help at all there. Now move it back to about the 2.5. You got to remember, too, getting back there close to the end line, if he steps on it, that's 2 points for the Middies.
Right, so he's got to give himself a little bit of room in case he would have to jump up to make a catch. You got to catch the ball first. That's important, and you got to get it out of there quick. He's got the snap. He's got plenty of time. It's a fairly nice punt. They'll back up at about the 49. Mason, he'll try to come straight up the field, and he slips going over the 40 and goes down on about the 39-yard line. So they got a little bit of breathing room, not a lot, but it's a nice punt. The ball's fielded on the 48. That's about a 46-yarder.
It's a very good punt there, and looked like Mason slipped there on this wet AstroTurf. It's rained here the last couple days, and the AstroTurf is pretty wet.
Okay, it's just over the 40. We'll call it the 39, 1st and 10, Middletown. Here's Kindred with his 2 same backs. Montai with the handoff, and Daryl Montai gets very, very short yardage going off the right side. And there's Dean Allen, Jamie Phillips, and some other Vikings right in there with him, along with Jason Whitehead. They call it no gain, 2nd and 10. They came right off their own left side with the speedy back, Montai.
Vikings defense has come out here in the second half looking very good as they did in the first half.
They've carried this football team all year, and it appears they're going to have to carry it the rest of the way tonight. Kindred looks up, throws way away from a couple receivers out here who were Chris Daniels, who started the game at quarterback, and Mason. There were two men in the area, and the ball really wasn't thrown very close to either one of them. Closest man to it was Shondale Wolfork.
It looked like questionable there. Could have been pass interference called there. It looked like feet got tangled up there. Luckily for the Vikings, no penalty was called.
3rd and 10 at the 39. They may be in a position midway third quarter trailing by 2 that they would go for it if they don't make it on this third down play, and they'll bring Mason in motion and Kindred back to throw. And he's in trouble and hung up at about the 50, still on his feet, and finally goes down at their Middletown 48 or 49 yard line. Getting up off that pile is Buki Ajayi.
And looks like Corey Glass, number 98, and Dean Allen, number 90.
The little short little nose man that's about as tough as they come in the middle of that line. So they will punt it away. Took that possibility away with that sack, which was good for about, 13 yards back, I believe, Jason. So Caldwell will get to punt with the win one more time, and the Vikes need to handle these punts. What we don't need is another mistake. We've dodged a bullet already in this half.
Definitely no question about it.
Snap
another
low
snap.
And it'll bounce, and they'll have to get away from it, and it's just a matter of how far it's going to roll. And it's going to roll inside the 10-yard line barely. It's going to stop right about on the 10. So they had the Vikes backed up with their backs against the goal line, and they'll have to start from there again. They need to break a run out of here and get a little field position.
Well, that's one of the things about playing on the artificial turf. You know, those punts, they bounce, and they go pretty far on this than they would on the grass.
It's not like those wedge shots, Jason, where you hit it and it comes down straight. They don't sit down, do they?
Not at all.
Well, they do on some of the regular turf, I'll tell you that sometime. Okay, here's Gatewood with yardage up to about the 14-yard line, coming straight ahead, forward motion with that far before he was rocked back by the Middy defense. Gain of about 4. Once again, you see Wells. It's Wells and Hunter, Hunter and Wells all night for the Middy defense. So a gain of 4, and it'll bring up 2nd and 6.
It's a crucial play there on first down. You want to get good positive yards on first down, and the Vikings picked up 4 on that one.
We'll come to Olverson. James with some good yardage up the middle. Comes over the 17 to maybe near the 18-yard line. Let's see where they spot it. They're going to put it down somewhere in between that. It'll bring up third down, rather, and let's call it 3rd and 3.
It's a big play here for the Vikings if they could pick up a first down and maybe put together a good drive here. Put some points on the board going into the fourth quarter, and they should be looking in pretty good shape.
Okay, we'll come to it. Olverson breaks loose and can't keep his feet as he goes over the 25 to the 28 and a Princeton first down. Split the seam nicely that time, but just couldn't get his feet back under him. The Vikes pick up a first down and will at least get a little field position out of this.
Well, that gives them at least 3 more plays. It can run a lot more time off the clock with about 3 minutes to go here in the third quarter.
If you're a Viking supporter, you'll want to watch that clock tick down. And we're looking at 3 minutes in the third quarter with a 14-point lead. And Houston sets his team, gives to Gate. No, he keeps it. Now he's going to stop and pack it in and going to lose maybe a yard. He might got back to the original line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it all depends on the spot there. Looks like they're going to loss of maybe a half yard.
And there's a Middy down out there, and that's we're trying to pick up that number. Is that a 5 on the end of that? Is that 95 perhaps?
You know, it looks like he either twisted his ankle or maybe his knee. And he looks like he probably should be able to come back into the ball game.
I think you'll see him back. He's walking off under his own power. There's no limp there. So the Vikes ready to go here. 2:44, third quarter. Second, and the scoreboard says 11. We'll say 10. The ball at their own 27. Here's Houston cutting it upfield, gets almost to the 30, perhaps just over the 30-yard line, where he's shut down once again by Chris Wells. And that's a gain of about 3, and will bring up a 3rd and 7.
You look for Chris Wells to be anywhere the ball is when he's on defense.
Definitely a possession play here. Ball resting just over the 30. Vikes need 7.
Looks like Jermaine Trammell was back in the ball game, so he was only out for 1 play.
Sure was. That's a quickie for a long attendance there. Okay, here we go. Straight back to throw. Throwing over the middle. Chenault's got to 42, goes to the 46, the 47, and a first down, Princeton.
Another good pass there by Lamont Houston. That play's been there all night, as it has all season. It's just a question of Lamont getting the ball to Curtis, and it worked there.
Lamont keeps his record perfect now for almost 7 quarters. As I say, and I don't mean it to sound negative, all of his passes have been caught. Most of them by his own teammates, but a couple by the others. None have hit the ground. Okay, first and goal. Princeton 46. Houston on the give to Olverson. Good yardage, midfield, 45 of Middletown for a nice 9-yard gain.
Nice run there by James Olverson. Looks like he went right over the right side of the line.
Chris Wells and Scott Wills make the tackle.
Chris Wells on the tackle again. It's going to be interesting to see at the end of the game how many tackles Chris comes up with, because seem to hear his name on every play.
Well, you will, just like you hear Jamie Phillips. 2nd and 1, Princeton. The ball just spotted over the 45-yard line in Middletown territory. Here's Olverson again, breaks a tackle at the 40, tries to get outside, and is brought down out there by Terry Hunter at the Middletown 39, perhaps the 38-yard line. This is a Princeton first down.
This is just what the Vikings need to do, is to have a sustained drive on the ground, run the clock out, and maybe even put 6 points on the board.
Well, that's a typical. We used to talk a lot, you know, about the typical Princeton type drive. Drive it down the field, eat up the clock, low risk kind of things, and this one is to Gatewood, and James comes straight ahead for very short yardage this time from the 38 to about the 36, just about a 2-yard gain. Territory. The ball on the Middies 34. The Vikes looking at a 3rd and 5. It's a long 5 because the yards you gain is a little bit beyond the 29. May even be closer to the 28. So maybe we ought to call it 3rd and 6.
Big drive here for the Vikings. They really want to get this ball in the end zone and open up a 21-point lead.
Houston straight back to throw. He's going to run with it. He comes straight upfield. He's got first down yardage. He's at the 25, the 20, and goes down just inside the 20-yard line.
Nice job there by Lamont. You didn't see anyone, or it might even have been a quarterback draw. We're not really sure, but he had a big opening and picked up good yardage.
Jason, I'm of the opinion that that's been pretty much by design. I haven't really talked to our coaches this week to talk about the kind of things they thought that they could do.
The Pickle Indians is 13.
Haven't scored in there.
Well, if that's a final, that means that Columbus Brookhaven is. But here's Olverson with good yardage over the 15, 5, perhaps 6 yards. The ball goes to the 14. We'll call it 5, and the Vikes will look at a 2nd and 5 at the Middy 14. If that's right, then if Brookhaven's the winner, and that game started 30 minutes ahead of ours, so it probably is. Probably a final. Then Brookhaven out of the Columbus area will represent Region 3 in the Final Four, and probably will be facing the winner of this game. And here's the trap play. Gatewood, good yardage, touchdown Princeton! 11 minutes now in this ball game, and James Gatewood, who seldom ever, folks, runs the trap. It generally always goes the other way to Olverson, takes the trap handoff and comes right up the middle and scores from 14 yards out, and the Vikes put 6 more on the board. And it's a little too early to celebrate, but things are beginning to look a little bit better, Jason Dingman.
Great job there by the Vikings. James Gatewood with a nice run.
Okay.
Blaylock's going to try to put them up by 21 points here.
Kick is up, and it's good. There are exactly 11 minutes of football remaining here in Welcome Stadium. Princeton 28 and Middletown 7. And if I'm not mistaken, I detect some cold Middie fans heading for the exits.
I do too. I see a lot of them heading out of here.
Well, I wouldn't blame them. It's pretty cold. We're shaking up here a little bit and trying to keep telling you about it. But the Vikings with a good performance, certainly for 3/4 in a minute, and with a 28-7 lead. Now at this point, you look up and say, don't make mistakes. Don't make mistakes.
Definitely mistakes will only let Middletown get back into the ball game, and that's definitely not what you want to do.
Well, the Vikes are trying to get to that Final Four. As we just said to you, we've just heard the score announced. Columbus Brookhaven over Piqua, 24-14. We know 2 of the semifinalists now, Warren Harding, Columbus Brookhaven. This game to be determined, and Massillon, Washington, and Sandusky playing up in Akron at the same time, and that game should be about over too. It also started at 7 o'clock. This one started at 7:30 basically because the University of Dayton had a game here this afternoon, and they need a little more time to get things straightened up and ready for another crowd. All right, here's Blaylock's kick. It's going to bounce funny and roll and be picked up by, I believe, is that Colson? Hughley with the ball at the 30, gets outside at the 35, and is finally wrapped up by kicker Jeff Blaylock, who makes the tackle, and there's a flag that goes down out on the Middletown 44-yard line.
It's not exactly what you want to do is have your kicker make the tackle, but Blaylock had no problem getting in there, making a stop.
Jeff gets into that kind of thing. I don't know who this penalty is going to go against.
It's like the Vikings think it's, yes, and it is a clip. That'll back Middletown up 15 yards. After a nice return out to about the 43, it's going to be taken back.
Well, I'm a very conservative kind of guy about games. I've seen too many games for all of my many years, and I've seen things change, but the kind of things are beginning to happen out there, Jason, that you wonder if they can get back in this thing. And I'm not one to say they can't. The 11 minutes is a long time in a football game.
And you expect the Middletown Middies to come out and pass now, down 21 in the 4th quarter.
From their own 23, Kindred straight back, throws out to the side and way overthrows his intended receiver, who's out on the far side, and that number is 16. And give me a name over there with your young eyes.
Number 16, don't have a number 16 on the roster. Yes, we do. There he is, Anthony Williams.
Okay, Anthony Williams was split wide and simply did a little out pattern, but this breeze makes it difficult to throw in, and when you throw very far, and he threw pretty much across the field and overthrows 2nd 10, 10:35 to go. Ball at the Middie 23. Kindred has his back split wide, only one very close to him, and here goes Mason in motion. And he'll spin, and he is wrapped up by Corey Glass and brought down. No, it's Ajayi. I thought that was 98, not 99. Well, let me give the right guy the credit, and you see a good little cheerleader who's not very cold, is he? He's rooting hard for the Vikes here as we're coming up at 10:15 remaining. The Middies.
Big loss there for the Middletown Middies, loss of about 5 there. Brings up a crucial 3rd down for the Middletown Middies if they want to get back in this football game.
3rd and long at their own 19.
3rd and 13.
Here's Kindred with one set back behind him once again. He'll go straight back and look quick and throws over the outstretched hands of Williams one more time.
Looked like number 47, Aaron Bozan, knocked that pass away. And the Middletown Middies are going to have to punt. And I'm really liking the Vikings' chances here.
Well,
up 21.
And going to have the football with a little under 10 minutes remaining in this contest. Looks like, Jason, we may have to get cold another night or two, but that's all right. We'll take it. I think we're going to have another Indian summer next week. What do you think? Okay, there's a nice punt into the wind, and the Vikes are going to let it bounce, and it's going to roll dead at about the 35-yard line. It's not, I've been a little critical over the years of Vikings not catching the football, but in this situation, with a 21-point lead and 9-something to go and a windy night, and not a bad idea.
Not at all. That way you don't risk the chance of a fumble and maybe giving the Middletown Middies the ball deep in your own territory. So not a bad job at all there by letting that ball bounce. The stands are clearing out pretty rapidly here.
They're going to clear out on both sides, I believe, Jason. You really can't blame these folks. It's pretty cold up here. It doesn't have to be very cold to be cold at Welcome Stadium. Here's the give straight ahead to Olverson. James gets short yardage up to about the 38-yard line. Bring up a 2nd and 7. I'm sure Coach Mancuso doesn't have a whole lot of interest in putting the ball in the air.
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see the ball thrown by Lamont Houston the rest of the night. I'd imagine they're just going to stick to the ground game, get what they can,
hope that
try to grind this clock out.
Can just keep the Middies at bay. And here's the trap to Olverson, and moving in there is Chris Wells, I believe. Right, met him just about a yard downfield. Looked like he might have some yardage, but Wells shut it off real quick. What a fine football player he is. Wouldn't you like to have a couple linebackers like Wells and Phillips on the same team instead of on opposite sides? You'd have a couple good ones. Good shot of the Viking huddle there. There's Chenault, there's Olverson. Mike Stacy at his tackle position. Number 78 you saw. Viking offensive line's done a wonderful job. Okay, here's Olverson trying to pick his way. He gets close to first down yardage. He gets up to the 44-yard line. And the Viking punting unit will come out. They won't even take a look at that 4th down situation. It's a foot or two away, but when you've got a nice, comfortable lead, you're going to get it out. And we see a lot of, we saw some Middletown, those all cars say Butler County, I believe they do, heading to the expressway. At the 44-yard line, Blaylock will punt it away, punting into this strong wind, which is really blowing crossfield a great deal now. There's a flag that goes down, and he gets a pretty good punt into, and another flag that goes down. The ball goes into the end zone. Now, I don't know if that's going to come back or not, but he kicked that ball into a pretty good wind, 46 yards, Jason.
It's a great kick there by Jeff Blaylock. I know he's got a great leg.
And there are flags all over the place.
Have to try to sort all this out.
Well, we'll take a look at it. I don't know if it's something that happened that would have given the Vikes a first down, or means they must have had one. Oh, that's bad. The public, that's bad. The public address announcer called it illegal participation, and given the activities of this week, folks, that's something he could have done without.
And that should give the Vikings a first down.
That's almost like rubbing a little salt in the wound. At any rate, that must mean there's 12 men on the field. Normally, that's what that means there. So the Vikes will maintain possession. That's a 15-yarder. And the offense comes back on the field.
I'd have to say the Middletown Middies are not looking too good now with about 7.5 minutes to go in the game, making a crucial mistake there, about to get the football back on 4th and short, and they commit a penalty, having too many men on the field, which a penalty that should not happen, especially this late in the season. Everyone should know where they're supposed to be at what time.
From the Middie 41, 7.5 minutes. Houston, Gatewood, short yardage, 38. And then he's thrown back by a host of Middie defenders.
8-yard line. Back by Scott Lewis.
I think really coming into this game, the most pressure on any of the Princeton Vikings was probably the offensive line, seeing how they did not do a very good job in the first meeting, but tonight have done an excellent job creating holes for Olverson and Gatewood.
Our director keeps showing us those cars leaving the lot, Jason.
He must really enjoy that.
He must be thinking about getting warm himself. Okay, here's Olverson, and he's going to be stacked up for no gain, and another flag goes down. And that might be a face mask, because Olverson made a little gesture from the floor, the ground, the turf, whatever it is.
Looked like it might either be that, or looked like it could be a spearing call.
Right. Okay, good call. I think it was exactly what you called it.
I'm not sure who that was that came in there, but it looked like they came in with their head down, which is not very nice. Not at all.
Well, at this point in time, you know, it's got to be difficult for these kids. They have had a wonderful season at Middletown, a wonderful team. There's as much talent out there on that team all year as any I've seen put together for a while, and they've had some problems. Obviously, we all are aware of them now. We don't need to elaborate on them as they take a timeout. But at this point in time, it's fourth quarter, a little under 7 minutes. You're down 21 points, and things just have a tendency to kind of get away from you. You get a good look at the Middletown sideline right there, and you see how things are kind of slow moving. not much excitement. But they've had a fine year, Jason. It is a good football program, and it's a program that'll be back. No question about that.
They didn't make the final 8 teams. You know, there's only 8 teams that make it this far, and they were one of them, so they have nothing to be ashamed of. Did a great job last week by upsetting the second team in the state in Moeller. I believe the Princeton Vikings were very happy that they were playing Middletown over Moeller.
Well, yeah, that's possibly so. It's hard to say. You know, a lot of things happen, and it's a funny game, you know, and we got to remember that there are youngsters like yourself involved, you know, who don't have a whole lot of experience in handling a lot of adversity and a lot of problems, and I think they've done a good job. Held their own out here for a good while tonight. So here's Houston, 1st and 10. He gives it to Gatewood. James is going to get very, very short yardage. I think Coach Mancuso is just trying to let that clock run. He's not interested in any more points. He just wants the clock to run.
I just think he wants to see a bunch of zeros up there on that clock right now.
And I think our cold camera people up there a little higher than we are just want to see that clock run too. And I think this might be a pretty good time for us to say thanks to a super job. We haven't been on here much this year, and for them to get going at this point in time when it is cold and difficult to work, we thank them for their wonderful efforts. And you know who's up there, and maybe when you get them, view that stands on the other side clearing out. The ball at the 13-yard line. A little under 6 minutes, less than a half a quarter to go. 1st and 10 Princeton. The play you missed while we were gone was a Lamont Houston run for a first down. Okay, here's Olverson on his feet at the 5, touchdown. I know, they're going to call him down. Boy, I thought that one was in.
Awfully close there. I think James really wanted that one.
He gave it a wonderful shot. He stumbled at about the 7 or 8 yard line, tried to get his feet under him and tried to lunge to the goal line, and boy, is the wind picking up.
I think they might even just give the spot to James Olverson here so he can get that touchdown. I think he really wants that one.
Well, he deserves that one. That was a nice run, so it's going to be 1st and goal at about the foot line. And there's the Princeton bench, which is a little more active. You know, you're not as cold when you're ahead, Jason. Here we go. Houston with the quarterback sneak, and he'll take it in for the, well, I know there's the signal. I mean, he was in there by a good yard or so. It took somebody a long time to get it going. Nathan Kiger, the offensive center, opens that hole a little bit coming out. Nathan stepped in very early in the year and has done a wonderful job. Chris Martin takes care of the long snaps. Jason takes care of the offensive plays for the most part. Two fine friends, I might add, that have spent a lot of time together. 53 and 54.
Well, I think there were some questions coming into the playoffs if the Vikings offense was going to show up. And they put 62 points on the board last week. And they just put 35 on the board this week.
We got to get the scoreboard operator to realize that he's got 31 up there. I guess maybe after you score 4 when you on the 4th one or the 5th one, you only get 3. No, now he's got 32 up there. Well, they'll tell him. My fans are already turning around saying, "Hey, mister, what's going on here? Give us some more points." We know what the score is, and they sure know on the field. It's Princeton 35 and Middletown 7. Now I'm getting word from our directors that said, I don't think they do know but they do now, Mr. Everett, because the scoreboard shows home 35.
And I really think the Middletown defense is shocked. They did not think they'd give up anywhere near 35 points in this ball game.
Well, with 5:16 to go in this game, I'm not sure that when this game, the only people sitting out here might be you and I, Jackson.
It's looking that way.
It is really thinning out here.
These stands are getting very bare very quickly.
And that's understandable. I guess at this point in time, if I could get someplace out of the way, that's what I'd be doing too.
Looks like there's more people trying to leave the stadium in cars than there is sitting in the stadium right now.
Well, the only good part about that is that when we get ready to go, everybody will be out of the way. Okay, here's a kick, and it's high, and it's fairly deep, and Colson will take it at the 6. He's got some running room, and he splits them at the 30-yard line, gets to the outside, and chasing him down and knocking him finally out of bounds on the far side.
Look like number 40, Arthur Woods.
Number 19, Keaton over there to help out a little bit, so
I think Jeff Blaylock, the kicker, might even have got in on the action over there as well. That's twice he's had to come up and make tackles, and I'm not sure if he's really liking that too much now.
Well, it looks like he's shaking an arm a little bit, and somebody's kind of getting after Jeff down here on the sideline and say, you be the safety, you stay out of there. We need your foot. Okay, straight back is Kindred. He'll throw it out here in the flat, and it'll bounce off of John Calhoun. John Calhoun, the forgotten man of this Middletown offense. John Calhoun, Jason, I've seen play since he was an 8th grader at Middletown High School. He's a back that weighs 230 pounds and can pick them up and lay them down. If you'll recall, in our first game, when they needed that last yard or two, they brought John Calhoun into the game.
Yeah, he was the one that scored the winning touchdown against the Princeton Vikings.
For unknown reasons, John Calhoun has run the football very little, has played very little. We've heard things like ankle injuries, and there's the throw. Picked off on the far side by Mancini.
Number 87, Mike Mancini.
48-yard line. Well, that means it'll keep it on the ground for a while. A little while longer, no question about that. That ought to get the clock running. But
if I'm not mistaken, that's Mike Mancini's first career interception as a Princeton Viking. I think he's pretty happy about it.
Well, to develop the Calhoun story a little bit more, I understand that there was some ankle problems. I understand that there was some other problems. What we would never speculate on it, but there's a wonderful football talent that if somebody takes a hold of at the collegiate level, the man can run, and the man is quick, and he can get a lot of things done, and he's could go on and do some good things. So here coming straight up the middle is James Olverson until he is finally hit by Chris Wells and rocked back a few yards.
Chris Wells came in there and hit him pretty hard and knocked him back, and I don't think James really enjoyed that ride too much.
Chris Wells reads offense as well, and now you see a near empty stand on the other side on your picture. You see the... Okay, second and about 9. The ball at the 49-yard line, and here's Olverson breaking it loose at the 45. And he's still trying to get the field. First down, and Terry Hunter's trying to pull him back. Olverson popped it through there real quick.
I think that was number 3, Daniel Colson there, that made the tackle.
Middies have had some excellent defensive backs this year that have played very well. Tony Everhart's had a great year, number 4 on the far side. Of course, those linebackers, Hunter and Wells, are outstanding. Third and about 4. Houston will keep it. He'll cut it upfield, 40, 35, cuts it outside to the 30, goes inside the 30 to about the 28-yard line where he's knocked out of bounds by 3 or 4 middies.
Really impressed tonight with the Vikings offense. Coming off last week's 62-point put out, I wasn't sure if we might see a little letdown or if you're going to see much of the same, and we sure have.
Well, you got to feel like this team is beginning to put it together. Maybe they're gelling at the right time for a change. Center Nathan Kiger, offensive guards Doug Ellerbusch, the captain, one of the co-captains of the team. Robert Black, 57. You see the band there. We get a good shot of them hooping it up. Mike Stacy, Blackwell. And here's Olverson once again trying to go trap. The ball's loose, and I believe the Middies might have it, maybe not. Looks like Princeton got it back.
I think James Olverson might have finally got back in there and recovered his own fumble.
Okay, that keeps the clock running. I've noticed that Blackwell has been on the right side a whole lot tonight. And he's been the starting left tackle most of the year, but him over there by Ellerbusch, but they moved him to this side. Moved Mike Stacy over there on the left side, and maybe that did some things. Who knows? Whatever. Let's give this coaching staff some credit, Jason. They put together a game plan that's been outstanding. We're under 3 minutes to go, and the Vikes, there's no question, are going to be playing once again. Here's Gatewood, who tried to cut it back on the trap and didn't get much done.
Well, I'll tell you, I know this fact, and I don't know if our director downstairs knows, as you look at a near empty stand on the other side. I know that I will tell you that the next game should be next Saturday right here at Welcome Stadium, probably against, well, we're pretty sure it's against the Region 3 winner, Columbus Brookhaven. I've been told by the director of this place that the Region 1 game would be here. Houston, juking and moving, 30, and runs out of bounds inside the 30-yard line.
Well, I think the coaches don't mind him running out of bounds to protect himself, but you would kind of like to see him stay in bounds so he could keep that clock running and get that time down to 0.
Now, I know you would, because you're getting cold. But anyway, down there, folks, if we got any interest in doing another one, you might as well talk to these people before you leave, because I can tell you that the semifinal game will be played right here in Welcome Stadium. A team against a team I'm sure that none of us know anything about, and that's Columbus Brookhaven. Okay, about the 27, it's 4th down. The Vikes, of course, will not punt it, will not attempt a field goal. Instead, Houston will go back, and he's in trouble, and he throws it out of bounds and away, and he'll get called for grounding the ball, and he did that once late in the Middletown game before.
Yeah. I do believe that's Coach Mancuso out there, and he did not like that call at all. He thought that James Gatewood was pretty close to that football and did not agree with the call.
Well, at this point, it's probably academic with 2:12 to go on a 35-7 lead. The point is he probably just should have just held on to the football and gone down. They are calling it intentional grounding. That's a loss of down, so Middies take over at their own 43-yard line with 2:12 remaining.
I think a lot of credit should go to Coach Mike Corson, who is putting together a great defense. This is his first year as defensive coordinator, taking over for Larry Cox. And last year's defense was very questionable, but this year's defense has been excellent and has carried the Vikings through most of the season.
Well, he has done a good job, and Mike's enthusiasm is a whole lot of what goes into the things that he does, and his kids pick that up, Jason, and it shows, and certainly shows out here tonight. Okay, first down Middies. The clock will start on the snap after change of possession, and Kindred running with it himself, and he will go down amongst a host of Vikings at the 40-yard line, one of which is number 91. Is that Kyle Gittens? Is that who that is in there? Right. Hasn't played a whole lot, but sure good to get in there when you're in championship play, and they're right there.
Looks like a lot of second-string defensive players are in the game right now.
We'll give you that job picking up some of those out there. 95, who's that, Montgomery?
Yeah, Montgomery's out there. Number 68, Casey Herring's also out there.
And here's Kindred, looks at second and about 12 or 13. The ball at his own 41. He'll retreat and throw it out in the flat off the fingertips of John Calhoun. Not throwing the ball downfield, but you really can't blame them. You just wonder why they're just not trying to grind it out and get it over with, too. And as we sit here, Coach Jim Place just comes out of the press box in front of us. Jim's had an awful tough week, and we want to say we know that's not easy for anybody. Mistake or not, we all make them, and sometimes they become monumental. And he's run a good ship up there, and he's put them in playoff situations 3 or 4 years in a row here as Kindred goes down under a big Viking rush. But they'll get it back together. We'll hear from them very soon. It's a good football program.
Yeah. Defense is not quitting here at all here late in the game. Kyle Gittens in on the play again. Been in on 3 plays and made 2 tackles.
Well, we look at less than a minute to go. And it is 4th and 14. Obviously, they're not going to punt it away in this situation. See if they can make the first down. They need to go to the Princeton about 47. There's Kindred. Throws over the middle to Montai. He's got it at the 45. He can run. And he's grabbed finally by Larry Williams and brought down at the Princeton 34-yard line. As
Larry Williams just stuck his arm out and grabbed a hold of him. Another marker down on the field.
The Princeton players after one of their own, who is number 59, being pulled away from there. I don't know who that is, but maybe I'll look that up.
Is Derek Anderson. like number 40, Arthur Woods, was trying to pull him off the pile there.
Personal foul. Princeton.
Yeah.
Even though it really doesn't mean a whole lot this late in the game, you just don't want those kind of penalties because they might just carry over into the next week, and you don't want that at all.
Well, you don't ever want that kind of thing, Jason. You just, you don't need that at this point. You've won the ball game, and that's all you need to win. And you just need to get the game over with. We got 34 seconds to go, and we've got a timeout, Princeton. And Corson wants his defensive people over here. He wants all of them to this side. And it's not a bad call other than the fact that it extends the coolness a little bit.
I think this just might be a timeout to cool everyone down because I see Coach Mancuso down there, and usually he would not be in on a defensive huddle. Usually he lets Mike Corson take care of that. So I think this just might be a talk about calming everyone down, so get rid of all these penalties.
There's no question about that. We're at 34 seconds. They're announcing the fact that the state volleyball championship was held here today. And those games have just ended too. So not only did we have things here around this stadium, but right next door in the Dayton Arena, we have a lot of people leaving from the volleyball tournament. So I'm assuming that they're encouraging people to go out in the other direction, and that looks like a good move because a lot of those folks don't know that you can do it that way.
Yeah.
I hope I remembered at the right time. Okay. First down, Middletown, about the Princeton 18 after the long pass to Montoya for the big gain and then the 15-yard penalty. 34 seconds to go, and Kindred back throws right over the middle, and here's Calhoun, who's going to be hit and doesn't go down very easy, never does. He goes down at about the 10-yard line. So 9, and they're going to signal a timeout again, and I guess this is just for pride, Jason, that they're trying to get some points on the board.
It took several Princeton Vikings to bring him down. Looks like about 4 or 5 of them had to get on Calhoun to make the tackle.
He's a real handful, there's no question about that, but I really do question the situation here where they're calling timeouts with 23 seconds to go and you trail 28 points. I admire their enthusiasm, and I talked to a Northwest coach one day this week, and he was telling me his kids, not his kids, I think it was an athletic director really, his kids were down 40-0 late in the ball game up here in a first round game, and they were calling timeouts while the other team was trying to kill the clock. And he was questioning whether they should be doing that or not, but what he wasn't questioning was that, these kids were still excited and glad to be here. And
it's a special privilege just to make the playoffs. When teams do lose, they're pretty down, as everybody would be, but they have to remember that they were one of the few that did make it this far.
That's right. It's quite an accomplishment. Okay, here's Kindred. Sets his team and goes back to throw. And he's hit by getting shakes off and goes down at about the 10-yard line, which is right where the play started, and they'll use another timeout. Now with 15 seconds to go.
The wind is picking up here again as Middletown takes another timeout. I do believe they want to get one more score on the board before this one's over.
We'll get these old statistical people going down here so we can all get out here and get warm, except you, and you got to take all this down. Well, with 15 seconds to go, they couldn't have more than one more timeout, so we'll see how it's going here. The ball at the 10-yard line. It's third down at about 1.5 yards for the first down. Scoreboard says 2nd and 2. Somebody up there needs to get it going a little bit. 35-7 Vikings. They'll be back here next Saturday night against a team from Columbus. And I'm saying that without an official announcement, Jason, but I'm pretty sure that's the situation. It'll be Columbus Brookhaven. Okay, third down.
Vikings looking to try to get back into the state finals again. They were there a couple years ago against St. Ignatius. Lost a tough one up there.
Okay, Kindred will throw it up in the air, and is it caught? It is caught on the far side by Mason, I believe.
That's number 80, and they score with 8 seconds to go.
I think that's just one of the times there they wanted to put 7 points on the board.
A little bit of a pride statement, perhaps, and that's all right. 35-14. Well, they're giving them the extra point already. I guess they're comfortable that thing's going to be made. This scorekeeper, he must have had a long weekend. So he had a game here last night that went, I think, 35-0 in a Division II game, St. Mary's over Dunbar. So 8 seconds to go as they're going to go for 2. Now they've changed it to 13. Here's Kindred, who'll roll right. He's got some pressure, throws it, and it's picked off or intercepted, whatever. So it's 35-13, 8 seconds to go. Just about enough time to return the kick, so we won't have any more plays from scrimmage, I'm sure of that. The Vikings will have to handle a kickoff return. They might, of course, have to handle an onside kick, you know, but when you're down 22 points with 8 seconds to go, that seems a little academic, too.
I think another thing, too, there on that touchdown by Middletown, they want to try to get one of their seniors, as Denny Mason is, one more career touchdown, which is always great for the pride.
Well, sure.
When you look back at your high school career, you can say, I had so many touchdowns. And that's just another one he can add.
Okay, it's a long last few minutes here. So he'll put it down on the 40, and the Vikings, may be expecting an onside kick. They've kind of moved people out away from it. Clock doesn't start until the ball touches a player on the receiving team, so we'll probably have this, and that'll be it. And once they start the clock, it'll run it out. Here comes the onside kick, and they'll kick it, and it'll be stopped and caught by a Viking. Number 89, Josh Johnson, with those good hands, grabs it at the 50, and the Vikes really don't have to have another play unless they call a timeout, because once they mark it for play, that'll wrap this one up, folks.
Look down on the sidelines, I see senior Doug Ellerbusch has got ice on his knee. Hopefully it's nothing serious. I know it looks like the same knee that he had surgery on last year that kept him out almost the whole season.
Well, there's the game, and that wraps it up, folks. The final score here, the Princeton Vikings 35, the Middletown Middies 13. Jason, just to wrap it up one more time, difficult week for the Middies. They came in here with a lot of problems and a lot of turmoil, and hung in there good for a while, but a good effort by the Vikings. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the good Princeton effort, because it certainly was. They beat a good football team in spite of all of those kinds of things. So we'll be back. I hope we'll be back here. I don't know if we will or not, but the Vikings will be back here in just 1 week from tonight, probably against Columbus Brookhaven. And we'll look forward to being here, and we're in the final.